When defensive coordinator Pete Golding stepped onto the fertile Mississippi soil back in January, it marked a return to the state that gave him his first shot.
We got this guy, he's really fast, he's a good football player, but he just hasn't gotten the notoriety he needs, and he trusted us, Coach Rhodes did, and Pete came up for an individual workout, and Coach Rhodes worked Pete out personally. He said based after that particular workout that he would find him as much money as he could, and he was welcome to come to Delta State University on a football scholarship.
Both my parents went to Delta State, and so we didn't grow up going to all the games, but we'd go to a baseball game, things like that. And we had 3 guys on our high school team that ended up going to Delta State. We're all in the same class. Our quarterback, Scott Eicher, our center, Ryan Barker, and myself.
We were outsiders, and the little small town of Cleveland, Mississippi took us in as their own.
Being grateful for everything, I think when you come in and come from that level, the amount of gear that you get, what your locker room looks like, the way you travel, what your pregame meal is. I probably ate at every Ryan's across the country. That was our Friday night. If you're eating steak, it's at Ryan's. It's Friday night steak night, so I was never focused on making it to the NFL. I knew at the end of the day I was a 5'9" white boy playing DB. So those eyes weren't great.
But his eyes for the game were, and with an assist from then Delta State head coach Ron Roberts, a small school nestled in the Blue Ridge Mountains took note.
I took my first job at Tusculum College for $27,000, and I thought I was rich. That was the most money I ever had. Coach Roberts had been at Tusculum originally, and so that's kind of how I got hooked up with Frankie DeBusk, who the head coach at Tusculum was at the time. So I remember when Frankie came in, he's like, "Hey, I want to interview for the DC job." My first call was Coach Roberts. I'm like, "Dude, what the hell? What do you think, man?" I was like I'm nervous. He's like, "Dude, just relax. You've done this a million times."
And he was one of those things where he didn't know if he was ready or not, but Pete's always been this way. He got ready in a hurry.
When you've never done something, you don't know what to expect. And just that thought process of, being responsible for a staff at that age where everybody's older than you. I was about the same age in Division II. There's no age limit, right? And the clock stops. So a lot of our players, when I was at Tusculum, were older than I was. Regardless of their age, if they feel like you can help develop them, right, and improve, their draft status or improve their ability to play at a high level, then they're going to listen to you.
Golding elevated defenses at the D2, FCS, and FBS levels, drawing the attention of the greatest mind in college football, Nick Saban.
That Sundays, they have the center plane and come get you, which I'd never been on a private plane before, right? I actually borrowed our DB coach's jacket, right, to go on it.
Definitely nervous. Is he going to get the job? And oh my gosh, he's about to meet Nick Saban.
I remember being nervous about that because the perception of who Coach Saban was. This is Alabama, it's Nick Saban, right? I've been D2, 1AA, mid-major. And it was the same thing. I called Coach Roberts. It was my first call, and he's like, "Look, man, just go do your thing. You're made for this. You prepared yourself the right way. He said, you're going to be the smartest guy in the room. Right? Get up there on the board and be yourself."
He's very, very comfortable in being on the whiteboard, talking about football and student athletes, recruiting. He's very, very confident, and he should be.
That really settled me down to where at that point we were just talking ball. And I'd done it a million times with a million different staffs and a million people. I didn't look at it as you're in front of Nick Saban and you're in front of Alabama. We're just talking football.
Definitely on our hands and knees praying and hoping that he handled the interview right and got the job. And of course he did.
Went to Coach and Miss Terry's house that night and offered me the job and said, "Do you need to call your wife? Do you need to bring her here?" I'm like, "No, Coach, we're good. Roll Tide."
It was just an automatic, Roll Tide. We made it to the SEC.
Even with the success at Alabama, there was a deep love of Ole Miss in the household.
Ole Miss is my alma mater, and I love the people here. And when we were at Alabama, playing against a university that I loved, I would get confused. Alabama's, who we're supposed to be cheering for, and they're great, but I didn't want Ole Miss to lose, and so just kind of that mixed emotion there.
We came over here our first year. We played you guys are us here, and I got a picture that morning. My wife had my kids in Ole Miss, right? I mean, we're at Alabama. I'm like, maybe you realize how we get paid, right? How we get fired over this.
I have always loved Ole Miss. I love the university. I had a great experience in undergrad, and I actually have 3 degrees from Ole Miss.
Being around Carolyn and her passion for Ole Miss and what Ole Miss meant to her, my brother-in-law having played here and her sister living here and 4 kids, there's just so many things when you're not always there to be able to put them in a better environment, right? To be able to raise your kids and be able to see your wife happy.
I felt like I was getting my identity back, my true identity. It was easy for me to put back on the pretty red and blue colors. I wear it with pride.
Oh, I'm super proud. He coaches in the SEC.
Our kids look up to the guys that are playing for us that we're coaching. And there's so many places that they don't even have a relationship, and they're their biggest fan. And I think it's unique to see once that connects, and we'll be in a meeting, and the first thing the kids ask, like, where's Braxton?
I've gotten to go in the locker room. It's like, I feel like I know the players a lot better here. It's my first year here.
It used to be something that I would worry about and be concerned about a lot, is him not getting enough time with his children. And now he does. All mothers want their children to have time with their dad, and it's been really amazing that we have that environment here.
Them being involved, they feel more part of it, you know, and they feel a little more invested in it. And Mama's happy, you know, it's a lot easier to work.
70 yards, no bueno.